Hello and welcome to episode number 50 of the Knitting Teaspoon podcast. I'm Liesbeth, your host, and this is a podcast which is all about knitting, sewing, crochet, well, basically whatever craft I feel like. I think my usual favorites are knitting, sewing, and spinning. So, it's been a while. I've been, well, not quite ill, but in a lot of pain in the past few weeks, so I do have some scar tissue in my belly and it's going to need to be removed surgically in a few weeks. I'm on a waiting list, so I don't know exactly when this is going to happen yet, but they did some pre-operative research and that caused a lot of pain, you guys. So I've been quite high on painkillers for most of the past 2 weeks, which wasn't really enjoyable at all, but I'm feeling a lot better now, and also I hope that this surgery is going to help me get rid of some recurring pain that I have been experiencing a lot in the past 2 years. So, well, that's out of the way. So this week has been my birthday. I turned 28 last Monday, and Monday was pretty much a very low-key day because I was just kind of spacing out on pain drugs, and that was basically it. So not that much special happened. I did receive some wonderful gifts for my birthday from my boyfriend. He gave me a new wool winder and a little book for some other crafts that I will show you in a minute. Oh, and by the way, thank you for all your birthday wishes on Instagram or on the YouTube comments for a few weeks ago. So, let's just get right into what I've been doing. And you guys, you may be able to see I am wearing a finished object. I made it in time for this to be my Edinburgh Yarn Festival cardigan. I don't know if there's any kind of rule, like you're not supposed to wear it before the festival or anything. If there is, then I'm just going to ignore it, because hell, why would I wait to wear this awesome cardigan? I'm really happy that it's finished and I want to wear it right now. I'm not going to wait another day. Easy as that. So this cardigan is the Jawoll cardigan by Asa Tricosa from the Ziggurats book. So you start with the Ziggurat method in the shoulders, and there's all these kind of neat tricks to have you already knit in the buttonholes and everything while you're working on this project. So that's very nice. Unfortunately, she does have you put in quite a few buttonholes, and I don't think it looks bad, but there is like 10 buttons on a cardigan, and I feel like most other cardigans that I've knit probably have like 6 buttons. Now, not all of those close up this high, so maybe that explains at least 1 or 2 extra buttons. But yeah, the spacing between them might be a little intense. I say this not that I mind having so many buttons on a cardigan, but mostly because I don't like sewing buttons on a cardigan. So on my birthday I cast off this project. I basically was on the second sleeve already, and I just needed to finish that on my birthday because, guys, I have not been feeling very well. So it was quite an intricate knit, but that kept my brain from going into other directions anyway. But unfortunately it is a short sleeve cardigan, or I don't know, this is kind of an awkward length, I feel, as in if it were supposed to be short sleeve, then most short sleeves end somewhere like midway on the upper arm, or they go at least to halfway the lower arm. But I do have some leftovers. This is 13 grams of yarn that I had left over, but I felt this would probably not be enough to make it to another full repeat of the lace panel that's on the on the side of the arm. So I felt like it would be a bit awkward if I had to quit somewhere halfway. So, and once I had finished the entire thing, I wasn't going back and adding a bit of extra length to it afterwards. So, also, I feel like this is just above the elbow, so that's kind of fine. But if the edge of the garment or the sleeve would have been like here, then that might have been very annoying, because then if you put your elbows down, you might always have that kind of edge of your work around your elbows. It didn't seem like a very nice idea to me, so I didn't. I just finished it at this point, and I do have some lovely little bit of leftover, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. I might put it in my crochet blanket, which I have not been working on at all for a while now. Yeah, but this might be enough for a very small project at some point. I'm not sure what's gonna happen with this, or maybe just a bit to keep for if I ever need to fix something in this cardigan. But I'm just so thrilled with this cardigan. I also had my boyfriend take some pictures of me this day. The cardigan has been finished with the buttons and everything for a few days now, but it's difficult to take pictures on a regular day because of the daylight. So my boyfriend is usually gone from the house during daylight hours, and then maybe the sun is still up when he gets back home. But at that time I'm probably busy preparing dinner, and after dinner it's just too dark already to take some proper pictures. And taking pictures myself, well, it's just really not my thing, so I don't know how I would have to cope with that. So yeah, so I had my boyfriend take those pictures. I also saw that someone has made a sweater, I believe, with exactly the same lace panel, although I chose to have like the leafy section and then the I don't know what you would call this, the knot section maybe, because there's this kind of lace knot going on. I chose to have twice the leaf section and one time the knot section, and I believe in their pattern they had twice the knot pattern and once the leaf section in the middle. And I think it's the pattern by Mama's Teddy Bear. I'm not really sure about that, so I should look it up, but it will probably be in a down bar. Not that this episode is not going to be crammed already with all the content, because I've been away for a bit longer and I've asked you to ask some questions, which I am going to answer today, so, or at least trying to answer. So there's that. Whew. Then there are a few more projects that I've been working on. So first of all, I have another finished object, and this is a pair of Biscuit Socks. So you may remember the biscuit hat pattern that I've test knitted a while ago, and then made another biscuit hat after that. Well, Lorraine Ashley has also come out with a biscuit sock pattern now, and yeah, some fluff on there. Anyway, so I knit these for my boyfriend because she wanted us to knit several different sizes, and this was, I think, the largest size in her pattern, or maybe the second largest size. I don't know, but yeah, it was a fun change for me, because I usually knit my socks toe up, and this one was cuffed down, and yeah, there's some details going on there. It's also with the heel flap and gusset type heel, so it was very enjoyable for me to use another type of sock construction for a change. So yeah, I quite enjoyed knitting these socks. Now you can't really see the texture pattern that well, but there is a very subtle little texture pattern, so I asked my boyfriend if he would be okay with having something like that on his socks, and he said yes, that's fine. So yeah, but he has not been allowed to wear these because I wanted to show them on the podcast first. So he has been allowed to try them on to see if they would fit, and they fit just fine. And Lorraine has also been so kind to donate a pattern or a copy of this pattern for you guys. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a giveaway for that after this podcast. So I think if you want to enter this giveaway, just let me know what's your favorite sock pattern. Or if you don't knit socks, then what is your favorite pattern? Just tell me, and you will stand a chance of entering this giveaway and winning the pattern for these beautiful socks. So they also come in quite a big variety of sizes. So yeah, I think it should easily be possible to knit this for whatever size you have from 100 grams. I think even the 49 size might go out of this yarn, because the leg is not super long. It's not very short either, but it's, well, I think somewhat shorter than my typical socks, but that's fine. Anyway, I'm quite happy with these socks, and my boyfriend is too, because he has another pair of socks now. Yay! So apart from that, well, I have not been very creative in what I've been making. So yeah, it's socks, and more socks apparently. So I have not been feeling very well, so I wanted to do something easy, but something that also kind of drew somewhat more brain power than just plain vanilla socks. So I've been knitting another pair of blueberry waffle socks, and this yarn is Wolle. So this is something that I found in a local yarn store in Austria when I was there on holidays. I think already 2 years ago. I can't really remember when, but yeah, I found this color, and I love how it's spiraling up. And on the back side you can see it a bit better that it's spiraling. On the front side it kind of looks striped a bit more, but yeah. These are definitely my colors, and I'm really happy with it. And one of the reasons that I'm knitting this now is that I do have my yarn caker or whatever, so the tool to make these cakes, and that just makes it so much easier to knit from a hank basically. So yeah, quite a few more of my beautiful yarns are getting cast on now, because it's not such an effort anymore to wind them into a ball that I can knit from. So it's quite funny actually if you look at the outside. It looks quite light on this side, and on this side you can't really see any of the lighter color. It's just apparently to do with the length of the color repeat, but yeah, it looks quite funny I think. Anyway, and this is a sock that's coming along just fine. So I'm just past the heel, and I haven't knit a single stitch after the heel basically. So yeah, that's the first sock, and plenty of yarn to make the second, of course. So then I have another project that you have seen before. Oh, by the way, this yarn is just a solid color from Regia, or Regia, if you will. So it's their Regia 4-ply sock yarn. Can't remember the colorway number, but I will put it in the down bar if you're interested. But it's a very nice dark navy, which my boyfriend really likes. So then there is the next project, and this one is a bit of a failure. It looks really pretty, and to that extent I'm really happy with this project. But last Thursday was actually the first time that I actually tried putting on this sock, and it went over my heel. I could get it on, but it was a struggle. It was way too tight actually here in the just above the heel. Yeah, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I may need to rip back and unknit all of this sock, because it's really just the length of the heel. I mean, if it were too tight here, then I would say, like, I'm trying to lose weight anyway, but I don't feel like my heel circumference is going to get much smaller if I lose weight. So I don't think I would ever fit that if I waited for something like that to happen. So yeah. I think it looks so pretty, and the maths just worked out pretty nicely for all the repeats, but I may need to rip it back, but at this moment I can't. I just don't want to rip back yet, because it's been such an effort to knit all these repeats again from the heel, and I really don't want to, but I probably have to if I want to make this a wearable sock. So yeah, knitting fail. Anyway, yeah, for the rest of it, yeah, I'm really happy with the looks of it, but I may have to increase, like, I think on the lower part of the sock I have 60 stitches in circumference, and I may need to switch up to 70 right after the heel, because I have a 10 stitch repeat here. So maybe if I go up to 70 here, and then for the next pattern, I don't know, maybe I'll really need to increase a little, because all of these patterns, they have different numbers at which they repeat, which you can probably see, because some of them align perfectly on top of each other. So I believe these two are the same, but this one is different, and then I'm not sure if this one is different, but this one definitely is. So yeah, before I start a new pattern repeat, I always need to check if the numbers are still correct for what I want to do. So I may need to revise the entire leg bit of the sock. Anyway, I am quite happy though with the length that I'm already getting, and I still have quite a substantial amount of yarn left over. I mean, it's attached to this ball, and I don't know why there's an extra needle in there. Let's get out of the way. Anyway, so yeah, so this is I still have quite a bit of yarn left, so I'm pretty sure that I can make these socks the length that I want them to be, but I may need to start over from the heel. Don't want to do that. I really don't, but I think it's gonna be a good thing to do, because if I want to enjoy wearing these socks, then I will need to be able to put them on quite easily and not just have to struggle already with putting them on, because then I just won't wear them. Easy as that. But I wish I had tried them on sooner after I done the heel, but I didn't, because I'm working on short circulars. So if you're working with magic loop, then you can just easily use the magic loop to make the needle go around your leg. But with the short circulars, you probably end up stretching your fabric so far that you will drop some stitches, which is less enjoyable, unless you put in another needle or a cable at that point for the life stitches. But who does that? I mean, that seems like a lot of effort, so I just didn't, and now I regret that I didn't do it, because it's a lot more effort to knit a sock like this high and then have to rip it all back. Anyway, the foot portion fit fine though, so that's a good thing. Anyway, so then there has been another project, and it's spinning, because I showed you last week that I had made a 2-ply of yarn looking somewhat like this, and that I was going to make it a 3-ply. So I did a bad job at explaining exactly what I did, but I spun 2 singles with my wheel turning clockwise, and the other one with the twist going, or with the wheel going counterclockwise. So they are twisted in 2 different directions, and I applied the 2 yarns that were twisted clockwise. I applied those together counterclockwise, so that the twist of the ply evens out the twist of the plying. So that will get you a somewhat more balanced yarn. And then I had the other single that was plied in the other direction. I plied that together with the 2-ply, that I had, and I have a bit of 2-ply left over because I had more 2-ply than single ply apparently, which is odd. I really thought it would have been the other way around, but yeah. And I applied that together to get a 3-ply, and I will show you what the 3-ply looks like. And here it is, and it's in a cake, and you can see it's also attached to something, so I will get to that in a minute. So yeah, this yarn kind of looks just like a 2-ply if you look at it quite closely, but you can see that one of the plies is actually consists of 2 colors, and I'm not sure if this is an easy part to show it. I think this may not be the best bit. It's quite difficult to show you, I guess, but maybe here you can see it. So here you have a darker bluish part, and then the other ply is a white bit plied together with a pink bit. So you can kind of see there's 3 colors in there, but 2 of those colors are just in 1 ply, but that 1 ply is actually a 2-ply. So I hope that explains it a little bit what I did, but if you don't know or still don't understand or don't even care because you don't spin yourself, yeah, that's fine. It's basically a 3-ply that I made, and I got slightly under 200 meters of 3-ply. But it is sock yarn, so it's wool with 20% nylon and 20% bamboo. So I really wanted to knit socks out of them. So I divided the yarn in 2, but usually when I'm dividing yarn in 2, like for instance for these, I divided the yarn in 2 bits because I wanted to work on both sleeves and have enough yarn for both of them. I would just measure the weight and then assume that the length per weight would be kind of consistent throughout, because this is probably a machine spun yarn, because this is a lovely yarn from Lily Pond Yarns, and yeah, I think they just buy machine spun yarn. I don't think they spin it themselves. If they do, then I'm horribly wrong, but I really don't believe they do. But a yarn like this, you can just divide it by weight, but my handspun is not that even throughout. So I wrapped it around my wool winder, then counted the number of wraps that I had, divided that number by half, so that I would know that I would have the same length on both halves of the yarn, which was quite a bit more intense, because you can't just, like, if I wrap my yarn around the wool winder or the umbrella thing, I tend to start like the first yarn is on the lower bit and then stack them up, but at some point it just gets a bit messy, and it's not like the lowest 50% is actually on the first half, so you might be cutting at a very weird place. So I was winding it up in a skein, and then I had initially counted, and then I kept on counting, like, how many wraps do I still have on the umbrella, and I separated it, and yeah, I wound it up in 2 cakes, and I have like about my wingspan, a bit more left over of the first cake, and I've made it into a sock, which is quite a shorty sock, but I think that's fine. Maybe I can make it a bit longer, but I don't want to do that until I know for sure that the other sock can get at least to the same length, because I've been trying to be careful about this, but I'm not sure if I actually been careful enough. So yeah, there's the tiny cake here, and the second sock as well on its way. I think it's almost halfway to the point where I need to start to heal. Almost. It keeps me happy just to think of it that way. Anyway, so yeah, I'm really happy with these socks, and usually I try not to cast on a new pair of socks. Well, I still have another pair of socks on the needles, but this is handspun. Handspun is just a different category, and same goes for colorwork socks. Colorwork socks are not the same as as just a vanilla sock, like the blueberry waffle socks that I'm knitting on. They are an easy project, and this definitely is also an easy project because this is basically a vanilla sock, but it's handspun, so it's different. So this is how my brain works. I try not to have many projects in the same category on the go at the same time, because then I just get frustrated because I don't make progress on any of them, or I can't, yeah, I'm not sure if I really get that frustrated, but I feel like I don't want that. So yeah, I try to limit my number of whips to make sure that they will all get finished eventually. So, but sometimes you just need to cast on something, and this I cast on the day after my birthday, after I had cast off this cardigan, and that means there's now space in my life again for a new garment, and I'm not quite sure if I'm going to try and design a cardigan or a sweater for my boyfriend, or if I'm going to try and design one for me. But I have some ideas, and they're both color work, so I just need to draw up some pictures and see if that's going to work or not. Anyway, that's it, I guess, about my handspun yarn. So this fiber for this came from Golden Fleece Studios, and that will lead me right into the next project, because I've been spinning some more this week because I have been invited to join a spinning group. So since I've not been feeling so well, I have not been going to work for a while, but to avoid getting depressed from staying home all the time, I do go to my local knit group, which is very close to my home, and to just keep socializing with some people. So some of those ladies at my local knit group, they also do spinning. So there's like two local knit groups, like at the same place, but one is on Thursday evenings and one is on Wednesday mornings. So I try to go to both now, whereas usually I would only go to the Thursday evening one because on Monday morning I obviously had to work, but for now I don't have to. So I got invited to spin with those ladies, and I have been working on some more yarn that was prepared by Golden Fleece Studios, and this is actually a new spinning technique for me as well, because I'm trying to draft from, I think, 4 different types of fiber. So mostly they are wool, I think, merino. So I have 2 braids of merino in 2 different colors. So there's one that's a bit more orangey brown, and well, there's just 2 different shades of brownish colors. And there's one braid that is just white, but the white one also contains some silk. And then there's the fire star, so the sparkly bits that you can see going on here. And it's been interesting to try and draft from different braids of fiber at the same time, because I've just never done that before, and it's quite difficult, I can tell you. So it's very slow progress. And funny thing is, I started spinning on this because I got frustrated with the other yarn that I brought, because fiber that I got. I'm trying to make yarn. Because I also have this on the bobbin. This is yak. So I bought 100 grams of yak at a fiber fair a while ago. And I don't know what it was. I think I was just trying to spin it thinner than I am spinning it now, because I feel like these plies these singles are probably thicker than the 3-ply that I just made. So I'm not that happy about that. I like thinner yarns a lot. I'm actually quite unhappy, or I'm somewhat unhappy with how thick that yarn became, and this is just a single, and that's a 3-ply, so I probably will have to accept that I just spin differently when it's different fibers. But yeah, I just got frustrated, and I was trying to make it thinner, but then the yarn kept breaking, and I got a little frustrated, and I thought, let's just try something new. And then I decided, yeah, because I'm frustrated because I can't get one braid of fiber to work with me. Let's just try 4 at a time. Yeah, that was a bit of a silly idea, but I do really enjoy how this is looking, and it also gives like a kind of empowering feeling, like the amount of control that you have over what a yarn is going to look like. That's amazing. I really like that. Anyway, so yeah, I have 2 spinning projects on the go, and since the spinning group I have not been working on it anymore. I have not even put my wheel back together anymore, because I can kind of pull out parts and then it is just a basic part of the frame, and then but the entire wheel can come off, and that makes it somewhat easier to transport it. So I have not been spinning at home. Anyway, so I guess that's it. Then I just want to share you a little bit about the birthday present that I got, because one of them was a wool winder or umbrella thing. I don't think you would be very interested in seeing that, because I think you all know what it looks like, but it's been very handy for me. And hand dyeing behind me here, I think you can see it, are all the colors that I've been hand dyeing recently. So I have this dark gray and this very warm yellow tone, and then there's nice green, and I made this plum color or purple color. I think those are the ones that you haven't seen before. The other ones you probably have seen before. So I had this chocolate brown one already. I don't know, I showed you last time and I was kind of disappointed by how it's not burgundy, but now that I see it as the rich, warm brown tones that they are, I'm just in love with this color. I'm really, really happy with it. So I decided to name it Chocolate, which kind of like encapsulates all the warm and fuzzy feelings that I have towards brown, I think. But yeah, I really love this color. I don't know, something just struck there. It's just right. Anyway, and there's the blue, and well, this looks a little bit more burgundy, but not quite what I was aiming for either. So, but I wanted to show you my birthday present because I got a little book, and it's called Sami Band Weaving, and it's been on my wish list for so long, and now I finally got my hands on it. So this is yeah, to weave tiny bands or small bands, and yeah, there's these pictures on the back, and I have not been able to look at it properly, but I got myself some weaving equipment quite a while back. So I have a tiny little rigid handle here, and I do have a kind of belt to go around my waist to try and weave, but I've never had the instructions for how to actually do it. So I'm really happy that I do have a book that is, according to the internet, quite good at explaining how it's done. So yeah, I'm really excited to go and give this a try. So I think that's it for, no, that's not even that's not all that I have to share with you, because apart from the dyeing that I just shown you with the acid dyes, I've also been trying my hand at natural dyeing this week. So I did 2 things. First of all, well, it's not made pretty yet, and I believe they are not even fully dry yet, so I'm just going to leave them. But I tried dyeing with onion skins, so I've been collecting onion skins for a few weeks now. So every time I cook onions, I just usually I just throw the skins away, but now I've been saving them in a special basket on the counter, and yeah, I've boiled the onion skins, and then after I boiled the skins, I fished out the skins as best as I could, and then just let the water cool down. I added some citric acid. I'm not even really sure if I needed to do that. Ooh, here, proof. There's a piece of onion skin still in this yarn. So it turned out quite nice. I'm quite happy with it. I had expected it to become a little bit more of a dark color. It hasn't, but I'm really quite happy with it because the dye bed just ran out of color. So apparently I had not been saving that much onion skins as I thought I had. So maybe if I try with more onion skins next time, then maybe I will get different results. Probably with natural dyeing, there's quite a chance that you get different results anyway. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. Now I also had some other natural products because for Valentine's Day I got a bouquet of roses. So there were just 5 roses, I believe. So there were not that many petals, but I tried the same procedure pretty much. So I put in all the petals in the same pot as the onions before, and then I let it simmer for a while, and the color came out quite nicely. It was a vibrant red, pinkish red, a color in the bath, and it looked quite exciting. So I was hoping to get something of a pink yarn, but yeah, this is what it's turned out like. So yeah, it doesn't look pink at all, but I'm not really sure if this is actually just the rose petals, because the onion skins I really didn't have to try hard at all. They just took up the yarn, just took up the color, and it turned out nice. I would have liked it to be somewhat darker, but I just didn't have enough dye. But with the rose petals, it was quite a different story. So the yarn just didn't want to take up the color, and that's probably because I didn't use a proper mordant for it. So onion skins, they naturally have some tannins in them, I believe, or tannic acid. I'm not really sure what the terminology is, but those help to attach the color or the dye to the yarn, so you can keep it in the color. And then citric acid is supposed to be a fixative, I believe. So yeah, that went quite well, because both the color and the mordant are present already naturally in the onion skin, so that worked quite nicely. But with the rose, the bath just kept being very vibrant and pink, so you could see all those beautiful colors in the water, but they just would not stick to the wool. So then I went on to read, and then I saw, yeah, you need a kind of mordant, and then they had some suggestions, but I don't think I had any of those things in my house. So there are some options for natural mordants, and I'm really gonna look into those, because I think something like tartaric acid might work, which seems quite a natural product. But all the other suggestions also kind of shocked me, because I thought natural dyeing was supposed to be more environmentally friendly, but some of the chemicals that you would need to put in to get the natural dyes to stick to your yarn, well, I'm not even sure if that's better for the environment than just the acid dyes that I've been using on the other yarn. Now, keep in mind that I really don't know anything about the process that makes the dye from those products, so I'm not saying that natural dyeing is not good for the environment or anything, but I'm just saying that I was quite shocked that you could need to use so many chemicals to get a natural dye to stick to yarn. So yeah, I was just shocked myself. But don't take it from me that it's necessarily bad, because I have not looked into all the possibilities yet. There may be some very environmentally friendly possibilities. So then I just went a bit crazy. So I read a while about what might be good mordants, and something like rusty nails would be very good, but you need to have rusty nails in order to be able to use them, or some rusty iron. So I've tried to find some rust around the house, but I tend to try and avoid things getting rusty, so that wasn't as obvious as you might think it was. We live in an apartment, so we just have a balcony, no outdoor shed or tools for gardening or something that could rust away in a shed or something. Nothing like that. So yeah, how do you get rusty iron? So I've been snipping short some iron wire and put it in a salty water bath, hoping to get some rust faster. It felt like the world upside down, like trying to get something. And then I also read that there's natural tannins in or tannic acid in green tea, so I put in some green tea bags as well, and I had some iron wire in the bath, and I added some salt and some vinegar, because apparently there's also some byproduct from wine that would be good, so I thought maybe that will work. I don't know, but yeah, eventually the yarn took quite a bit more color than it did before I tried all those extras, but I don't think I was patient enough between all those colors. And actually I'm quite happy with this color, because it's a quite neutral beige, and it might even work together with this. Not sure if this is a good combination, but something like this I would be quite happy to knit something very neutral with that. So it's not necessarily bad, but I'm not really sure what color this is, because it might be partially the rose petals, but it might as well just be green tea. I don't know what I'm showing you. So yeah. Did not work out quite as planned, but who knows, maybe in the future I will be able to use the colors from roses, and that will be nice, because I have another bouquet of roses that I got for my birthday. So they're not red though, so they will be a different color anyway, but you know, I can at least try and see what I can get out of there. Let me take a short break, and then I will get back to you for the giveaway that I had announced for today. So when I checked this week, I had 10 entries for the giveaway. Everyone asked a question for the podcast, so here's the names. I think the order of things might actually be the opposite way, but I'm not sure if it shows things chronologically or what the reason is, but your names should all be on the list there. So then I have another list that contains the questions. Some of you asked the same questions, so I think there's one question that I got twice, but I will try to answer them all. I don't think I specified that you would have to find a unique question, so it's fine if you ask the same question. So, the questions. Do you have any non-crafty hobbies? So, things like sports, reading, gardening, etc. Yes, I do. In terms of sports, I really like to go swimming, but I also do some other exercising. Now, I would not necessarily call the exercising hobby, but the swimming, I think I would definitely call that a hobby. Unfortunately, my health situation has not allowed me to go swimming for a while now, but I really do enjoy going swimming, and that's just making lanes and making some distance, something like 2 kilometers a day is very good for me. I really like doing that, so that's the sporty bit. I do like some occasional reading, but it depends on whether I have a good book or not. I can get very frustrated if I don't have one, but sometimes I have these moments when I just am caught in a book and I just need to finish reading it. I do read all my books from actual books, so I don't tend to read a lot online, or I don't have an e-reader or something like that. I quite like having a physical book that just is calmer to me. So gardening, also spot on. I do like some gardening. We only have a small balcony, but it's filled with crops. Last year we had, I believe, carrots and snow peas or snow peas or winter peas. I'm not really sure what they're called. In Dutch they are called pultjes. So quite different. Anyway, so we had quite an extensive variation of peppers going on, from quite mild red peppers to very spicy ones. We had some tomatoes, we had some zucchini. I do have a bit of lavender growing on my balcony. There's an assortment of quite random flowers that I once put out there, and they are still growing, so yeah, they're just gonna stay there. Yeah, I quite like that. Can't really show you proper pictures. Partially now there's nothing to show you, but also the lighting situation is a bit difficult on our balcony because we have a south-facing balcony, and yeah, our garden kind of thing always is kind of backlit if I try to take photographs of it, so that's a bit difficult. Another hobby of mine that I would definitely like to mention is video gaming. Yeah, that tends to take up a lot of my time, so I do play a lot of games. Recently I've been playing The Sims, I've been playing Minecraft, I've been playing Farming Simulator, I've been playing Stardew Valley, and I feel like most of these games have something in common, that there is an extent into which you can kind of use it as a sandbox game. So in that extent they might not really be non-crafty hobbies, because they involve building things, but you build them in a video game. So I don't know if you guys know Minecraft, but in Minecraft you can build basically anything, from machines to houses to farms to whatever you want, basically. So it's still a crafty hobby, but it's just digital crafting, basically. And the same goes for The Sims. I really like building the houses and putting the furniture in, and that kind of still is crafting a house instead of crafting with yarn, but it's still kind of crafty. And I think for Farming Simulator it's maybe a bit less, but and Stardew Valley equally, they are both farming games. They are quite different, but then still they both focus on farming, which kind of tends to go along with the gardening, because also in The Sims I like to do the gardening bit, so I think there are some themes that keep going back. Even though it's a video game, I still like the crafting and the gardening, so yeah, I think it all ties together. So there are two more hobbies that I could mention, and those are playing the guitar, and I finally picked up my guitar again for the first time in a long while, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. It's not crafty, but it's still creative, I think, to make music, and I like to paint occasionally. And actually, I don't think I've ever told you, but I don't think you can really see it, but there's this shelf behind me here that I've made myself, so that's kind of with wood making furniture, and I've made a lot of aquariums or cages for my pets in the past. I did have a pet shelter, but which also was my hobby, but I kept it down, so I now only have two pets left. And so my pets definitely are a hobby too. Yeah, I think I have a lot of hobbies. So yeah, but really the majority of my time goes to the fiber related crafts, and I think I enjoy those the most. So that's question one. I hope I'm not going to take this long to answer all of the questions, because then it's going to be a very long episode. Anyway, so next question. How does your physics or mechanical engineering brain interact or influence your creative side? Well, I think there's two parts of this. I think, first of all, I'm not scared of maths at all, because I have to use them a lot in my job, and any kind of maths that you come across in knitting or sewing or whatever fibercraft, that's really peanuts compared to the differential equations that I may have to solve for work. So I don't think that's any difficulty for me. Also, I feel like I may have an above average kind of oh god, how do you call this? Like I can visualize what something will look like in 3D when I see a picture of it in 2D, or I can quite easily visualize what I need to do to get a certain shape, basically. So it comes quite naturally. Increase rates, decrease rates. I don't think you need a mechanical engineering or physics brain for that, but I think that comes back. There's also some patterns, and then I think it's mostly the physics part that just sees the patterns that are occurring in nature. I really want to try and get those in my knitting. So for instance, the wave pattern on my colorwork socks, those are a bit, because I have been in fluid mechanics and I really like waves and I like to study those. So I think that really helps, both in engineering and in creative life. I am quite chaotic, so I think that's mostly my creative side interacting on my engineering bit, so I can be a bit all over the place, but I think in order to engineer properly you need to be a bit more organized. So I think I've learned some organization skills from that, but I'm not really sure if I've learned enough of those. Anyway, so I think that's the majority of it. Then I had a question that was something related to that. So why did you become an engineer? And if you had not, what do you think you would have chosen as a career? So why? Well, because I liked physics a lot in high school. It was really my favorite subject. But I think that's partially influenced because my dad was a mechanical engineer, and also my older brother went on to study mechanical engineering before me. So I think it was kind of an easy route as well, because that was just normal in my family. So that seemed quite a good choice. But I have been exploring quite a few college degrees to see what I would want to do. So I've even looked at things like French language, but I kind of felt like I felt more at ease at the engineering kind of subjects or science subjects. So I've been looking at physics. I think architecture is something that I would really have liked if I hadn't become an engineer, but technically that's still engineering, so I can't really count those as an alternative. So I've been discussing what I would do alternatively. There are some obvious things, like maybe it would be something that's fiber crafty, something like that, but I feel like it's difficult to aim just for a creative hobby and really make it there. So I wanted to have a safer bet for my career, I guess. Not that I care that much about career at all. I don't think that's the most important thing in my life. I work to live, and I don't live to work, like I feel my mom sometimes does. Anyway, but an alternative career, well, I think there's a fair chance that I would have gone into politics. Yeah, I'm not going to discuss politics on this podcast, or not a lot, at least, but I have quite a few issues that I feel quite strongly about, and I think I could possibly contribute to that, and I would even consider switching to that now if there would be a good opportunity to do so. But for now I'm quite happy being an engineer, so I will continue to be an engineer for now. So the next question is, what things do you like to knit the most? And I don't really have a good answer for that because it changes all the time. I'm kind of all over the place. I really do like to knit socks. I have knit quite a few socks, but I feel like socks are kind of the brainless knit for me, like the one that I don't have to think that much about what I'm doing, and I really like having an easy project on the go. But I think if it's knitting just for the knitting itself, then I really enjoy something more like a garment or something more intricate, so maybe a lace shawl or something. But I definitely, if I knit something, I want to be sure that the thing that I'm knitting is going to be used a lot. So that could either be by me or by my boyfriend or by whoever I'm giving my knitting to. But I want to make sure that I make something that is practical and useful, and not just something that's going to be put away in a closet and never be looked at again. And be used properly. That could perfectly be a decorative piece. Like if I were for some reason to knit a wall hanging or something, that would be fine. If that wall hanging, if I were sure that wall hanging was actually going to be on display. But if it's a wall hanging that's going to be stored in the attic, yeah, not really my thing, I guess. So yeah, I really like to make useful things the most, actually. What's most useful is quite varying, I think. So I hope that's sufficient answer for you guys. Next question. So, why do you enjoy making project bags and dyeing yarn? Oof, difficult question. So, making project bags, I feel like I started that because I had some leftover fabrics from projects that I made before, and those scraps, they were really too tiny to make any kind of other garment out of them, and I wanted to make them something useful, which is kind of what I discussed in the previous question. So, making a project bag, although initially I really wasn't keen on those, I felt like have enough bags, I don't need another project bag. But yeah, I really came to like the project bags, and especially the Japanese knot bag type bag, so with this shape that I can just keep around my wrist. I really like using those when I'm exercising. So I do some stepping exercises, and I can knit while I'm exercising, so that's a good thing. So I really like making project bags because they are small and easy projects, and I can use most of my leftovers for that, although I think that's where it started. But now I just enjoy the process of it so much that I also buy fabric just for the purpose of making project bags out of it. I do kind of think they are kind of an instant gratification something, because this making a project bag typically takes like 1 to 2 hours for me, so that's very fast compared to most of my knitting projects, for instance. They take quite a bit longer. Now, dyeing yarn is a bit different, I think, in that sense, because dyeing yarn really gives me control over what I'm going to use. So if I want to, say, knit a pair of socks, and I want it to have a specific color or something like that, then I think this gives me extra control over the fiber that I'm working with. So I can choose the base of the yarn and the color separately, which is quite nice. Now, of course, I don't always have control over the yarn, because see this beautiful pinky rose color. Oh wait, it's not pink. You know, yeah, I don't have that much control over it, but it's a feeling of having control over what you're going to work with, and that's a very nice feeling, I think. So next question is, what is your first knitted item and do you still have it? Well, my first knitted item was kind of a brown scarf, and I don't think it ever got finished, and it was wonky and all over the place, and I don't even remember if it was stockinette or garter stitch. I don't have it, but I do have my second project, or second set of projects. So I got a doll for my 6th birthday, and I wanted to make this doll some clothes, so I have been knitting it a scarf, and you can kind of see it's not just tension that it's wider here than here, it's also because I dropped some stitches and increased some stitches. I don't know what I was doing basically, and it's just a garter stitch a scarf, so it was not that difficult, but apparently it was too difficult for me. Anyway, so yeah, I really was a young child when I did this. So this is just 2 colors of cotton that I've striped, and I also have a matching hat that I never closed apparently. So yeah, they were supposed to fit my baby doll. So I had a baby born doll from Zeph Creation. So people who were kids or had kids in the 1990s, they may know this type of doll, or maybe later, I don't know. But yeah, I made some clothes for my doll, and I still have them, and they still don't have their ends woven in, and I don't think I'm ever going to, because yeah, it just feels weird to finish it now, whereas it has been perfect for me for all those years while I hadn't finished it. I mean, the ends are not woven in doesn't mean that my doll never wore this scarf. Trust me, I did use it, and it just looks a little bit more handmade, I guess. So, I hope that's sufficient for this question. So, can your boyfriend knit too? Well, kind of, I guess. So, my boyfriend can't really knit. Well, a few years ago I had an injury on my thumb and I couldn't hold a knitting needle, and I was really frustrated because there was not enough knitting going on in our house. So I forced him to learn how to knit. And then he made a few stitches and it kind of worked, but he forgot. And then later he wanted to learn how to knit again to surprise me at some point, and he forgot again how to do it. So I think with a minor bit of encouragement he could knit, and if someone was like threatening his life, then maybe he could knit to save his life, but yeah, you can't really knit. So then there's another question. What is your boyfriend's favorite thing that you have knit for him? Well, I thought it was going to be the sweater that I knit for him, or the pair of colorwork socks that I knit for him. But no, it's his socks. These ones specifically. And I washed them so that I would be clean for the podcast, and then he thought, oh, they're clean again, I can wear them, so they're stinky. So yeah, it's good that you can't smell that, I guess, because you know his feet, they get smelly. So I don't really remember what yarn this is. I might look it up. I think it's something, I don't know if it's long or Lana Grossa Jawoll Magic. I don't know what yarn it is, but I will have to look it up. But it's in my project page, so I should be able to look up what yarn this is. He also really likes his gamer gloves, so I've knit him a pair of fingerless mittens, and they are basically felted. So he uses them all the time when he's behind his computer, because he tends to get very cold hands behind his computer, and I've knit him a pair of mittens. And both of these projects I've knit during this podcast, while this podcast has been going on, so you may have seen them before. Yeah. And then the last question, and I thought this was the most mean one, is, do you have any unfinished objects? Yes, but not a lot actually. That is, if projects are unfinished for too long, I tend to just rip them out and throw them away. But I do have one unfinished object, and depending on whether or not you count it, there's a few projects that I still consider whips, but maybe they have been whips for so long and I have not worked on them that technically they might be unfinished objects. But I I forgot to pick it up. So if I think about unfinished objects, really this is the only one that comes to mind. It's very small, it's a crochet project, and I was going to crochet a little Pokemon for my sister's boyfriend, because I also crocheted one for my sister, so I made a Jigglypuff, if you know the one. It's a pinkish kind of monster, and then I asked, what's your boyfriend's favorite circular Pokemon, and maybe I can crochet one for him too. And then she said Spheal, I think. I'm not even sure anymore what this Pokemon is called. But yeah, so this is going to be the body, and I do have something that's going to be something like a moustache already done, and I'm pretty sure that I had both ears done before, or I think these are ears, maybe they are flippers or something. I really don't know what they're supposed to be. I keep on running into these tiny parts of crocheted something, and I'm just really not enjoying it, so I quit it. And this is actually made on a very teeny tiny crochet hook, so I must have been like 1 millimeter or something, 125 probably. Yeah, and I don't think it's ever going to be finished. It's just going to stay a small little ball, I guess, and some weird pieces that maybe at some point should become something. Like, I believe it's supposed to be something like this. I'm not even sure anymore what the pattern is, so I doubt that this is ever going to get finished. But yeah, that's an unfinished project. I used to have some more projects that I've never finished. So there is this purple acrylic kind of sweater that I was knitting at some point with really big needles, and I really did not really enjoy it. And I was working on this, and I felt like I had to finish it, and then I think I was still working on that around the time when I discovered knitting podcasts. So I went on to see a bit more of what was going on in the knitting community, and I felt like I don't necessarily have to work with this cheap acrylic yarn that hurts my hands and everything. So I started trying other yarns at that point, and I found them so much more enjoyable to work with. So I just didn't want to finish it anymore. So I actually ripped it out and I gave the yarn away. So I had most of my acrylic stash just... I selected it and got rid of it, because I felt like if I don't enjoy knitting with it anymore, then there's no point in keeping it. So I wish I could be that rigorous with the rest of my stash. I'm not. I'm really much of a hoarder, but most of the acrylic stuff is gone. And don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against acrylic. There can be very nice acrylics, I'm pretty sure, and there's nothing wrong with knitting with cheap acrylic, but I felt like at some point I just stopped enjoying knitting with that stuff. So I did not enjoy the acrylic that I had at that time. So there may be more quality acrylic yarns, or especially if you are allergic to something, or to wool or animal fibers, then they can really be a solution. That's all fine, but I didn't. And also, one of the reasons that I knit a lot with acrylic and cotton when I was first knitting is, well, they're cheap, so they were easy to get my hands on. But also my first boyfriend, he was allergic to wool, so and I once bought him a souvenir from Norway, and it contained wool, and well, he kept on reminding me about that, so I never knit with wool again. I was actually actively trying to avoid wool content, because I thought, oh, that's itchy and that's going to annoy people, and no one ever wants to touch wool. Little did I know, of course. So there's been a major shift in what I've been knitting with when I discovered how much more enjoyable the springy feeling is that wool has. Yeah, I have not been wanting to switch back. I do still occasionally knit with cotton, but it's a lot less than before. I'm really open to trying new blends, and I'm not against acrylic, but I think if I were to buy acrylic now, I would probably go for some more high-end stuff and not the €1 or less type of balls that I used in the past. That's not to say I did knit an entire or crochet an entire blanket with very cheap acrylic. So I've made this blanket entirely out of acrylic yarn, and the red, the green and the white acrylic, they are very cheap brand. I think like €1 a skein, 100-gram skein, so quite cheap yarn. And then the yellow one I think was like 2 or 3 times more expensive, but you can really feel it. It's a lot softer, it's a lot easier on the hands. So this yellow acrylic would not be so bad to work with. They just didn't have proper yellow in the cheap range that I was trying to get my hands on when I first started this project. Or actually, I did not try to get yarn for this project, because this entire 2x2 meter blanket is leftovers from a tapestry that I want latch hooked. So yeah, I've done some silly things. Anyway, so how did I get here? This is from the UFO question. So there have been some more projects that in this switch to finding yarns that suit me personally better. I've ripped out some more projects, and there has been this one sweater that I've tried to design. It was partially crochet, partially knitting, and it was going to be very cool. And then I started, and then I put it down for a long time because I wasn't a knitter for all the time, a long time. So I would have these phases in which I would knit a lot, and then I would not knit for months, and then I would come back to my knitting, or possibly years later. And I gained so much weight that the sweater did not fit anymore, so I ripped it out and then I started over again. And then I put it aside again, and then I had lost so much weight again that it would be way too big again, so I ripped it out again. And then I felt like, no, I'm not going to start over again, because I kind of just had it with that yarn. Also, I didn't really like the quality of the yarn. So yeah, basically that's it, I guess. And I think, let me just check, I think I've answered all the questions. So yeah, I think that's all. So let me just get my random number generator. So I am using the random number generator from random.org, and I'm going to generate a random number. I have a list with numbers for all the entries to this giveaway, and yeah, so the number is going to be the winner. So I'm going to push the generate button. And the random number is 2. So then I go back to my list, and that's Diane Cavagoo. So Diane, congratulations, you have won the giveaway prize. So that is this project bag. It's a drawstring project bag. Within it, some luxury yarn by Chestnut Cabins, and your choice of your favorite of the hand-dyed yarns that I've shown before. And I feel like if any of my newer colors are more your jam, then you can pick just from any of these colors. I have a gray one as well, and there is a purple one that I'm missing now. Here. So, your favorite of these colors. And it will be coming your way as soon as possible. Now, keep in mind that next week I will be going on holiday with my boyfriend, so we will be abroad, and if you don't get in touch with me before next weekend, That's I think the 17th of or the 16th of March, then it may take a little while longer before I can ship it. But that's basically all. Or if you happen to be going to Edinburgh Yarn Festival, please let me know, because I would like to obviously like to meet you there, if that's possible. But if you're not, then yeah, I will just ship it out. Anyway, so yeah, congratulations. And there is one more thing. Please don't forget, there is another giveaway this week, which I will draw for after I'm back from Edinburgh, I think, because it's a pattern giveaway for the Biscuit Socks that I've shown you. So the pattern for these socks made by Lorraine Ashley, and yeah, you will stand a chance of winning her pattern, or a copy of her pattern. So just let me know what your favorite sock project is, sock pattern is, and you don't have to ever have knit this pattern or something. And if you really don't like knitting socks, then you can just say something else, but I would prefer to have some sock suggestions, because I've been branching out, and it would be useful for me to see what patterns you have enjoyed or think look very pretty, or you know, have an interesting technique or something. I don't know. So there you go. I think that's everything for today, and my boyfriend just came home, so if you just saw me staring there, there's the window, and he came home. So I just saw him, and he's now trying to be very quiet behind me. So I will just let him know that he can enter the room again, and I hope that all of you have a very lovely week, and I hope to see you again next week. Bye!